Well, so this is the presentation about the Hackfest challenge, the work that you will have to do in the next days. So what are the Hackfest challenges? We commented before. They are small work items, so they are expected to be self-contained in these 3 days and the morning of Friday, okay, to be achievable in this time frame. They are basically either bug fixes or vulnerability fixes or features, so new things that we would like to add, new capabilities. They have been proposed by relevant people in OSM community, so well, we expect that they could be interesting. No, the participants will work individually. Each challenge has one mentor, and basically, yes, one thing that it's important is that they, in principle, they have been designed to allow you to see intermediate and solid progress, so that you are feeling that you are, let's say, more or less progressing to the end of the feature, right? All the challenges have a description and a definition of them and the steps to be followed that will not be presented today but will be presented in detail tomorrow morning. A disclaimer, obviously, challenges have been designed, or all the people here who have designed a challenge have designed it in a way to try to make it achievable in the time frame, okay? But obviously, since this is new code to be done and we are not perfect, okay? We might have forgotten something, okay? There could be small issues that we will detect as we move on, okay? So this is normal. Please expect that because that's part of the work, right? These are the challenges, 8 challenges. So I will start with the first 4, then Gulsum will follow with the next 2, and then Guillermo and Pedro, okay? The first 4 are related to the OSM client. So basically, the OSM client, you know, is the command line client tool that we use to interact with OSM. So it interacts with normal interface of OSM. So the challenges will be basically update the OSM Python client to add new capabilities or to improve the maintenance. So there are 4 challenges. The difficulty in principle is expected to be low to medium. Why? Because, well, it's a single program. You don't need to build images. You can just modify the code and test directly. So it's expected to be even more quicker to test. So that's the expectation. And it allows you to get a general picture of how OSM works from a usage perspective, okay, from a user perspective. But probably you won't understand a lot the internals of the system platform, okay? So if you are intending to understand the system platform or how OSM works internally, the workflows, internal workflows, etc., these are not the best challenges for that, okay? So first challenge, global option in OSM client to adapt output. Basically, we want to add a new global option -O format that will be added to OSM client to basically to adapt the output format to be a table, CSV, YAML, JSON, JSON path. So if you know kubectl from Kubernetes, there is an option to adapt the output format, okay? You have here the reference. And the idea is that we want to have a similar behavior, right? And well, there is basically the code should be written in such a way that we use the same code in all the cases. This is the code that you will have to do and incorporate it to the different commands that we have in OSM client. And the definition of done is obviously when you add this, anything should be broken, anything, so all the sanity tests should keep working. All the commands for network services, BNF and BIM that involves showing the BNS or listing the BNS will need to work with the new output format. And optionally, if time allows, a new robot test will be added or an existing one will be added to check all the options work for a specific OSM client command. Another option that I have thought about for the OSM client is to add this option to filter. So this is an option to filter per column, let's say. This is something that OpenStack has. You could list the virtual machines in OpenStack with OpenStack server list or add a column, -C ID, for instance, and it will print only the ID of the virtual machines, right? Or the argument could be stackable like this. And again, all the sanity tests should pass, nothing should be broken. It should be only applied to some commands here, not to all. And optionally, a new robot test, okay? Deprecation framework for all commands in OSM client. Well, we have seen that from one release to another, we might want to deprecate some of the commands in OSM client. And well, I thought, well, why don't we build a framework so that it could be easy to include these commands? And next release, we want to deprecate this in favor of this one, right? Basically, that's the idea. So here, well, some commands will be selected to be deprecated in favor of new commands. Well, basically, it's only that. I will, in this case, a new robot test is required. Okay, so I will ask you to create a robot test for that. So that will be part of the challenge. Okay. Challenge 4. OSM client relies on a library that is PyCurl, Python library, PyCurl. If you know curl command, PyCurl is a library that is used to interact with HTTP requests to a normal interface of OSM, right? So PyCurl has some problems. It's not the standard library that is used for interaction via HTTP. The standard library is request library, okay? We started with this PyCurl library, but it's not a good idea, okay? The main reason is that there is some dependencies with some libraries like these ones, okay, that make, for instance, the installation in other platforms more complicated. So that's why we want to get rid of this, okay, and use directly request, which is, well, widely used in all platforms, right? Okay, so those are the challenges. Now the next ones will be the ones in the arrow. I will pass the turn to Gulsum. Before I pass the turn, if you want more details about the challenges, but I'm not saying that you might want to be interested in all of them, but there is I have uploaded also the presentation that I will give tomorrow, that is the one here that says OSM Client Hackfest Challenges. And I have, for every challenge, I have a list of steps. Right, so you could, these are the steps that you will have to do in the execution. Well, that's the idea, but I think that you got probably a good picture of that. Now, your turn, Gulsum.
Okay, we have two arrow challenges. First challenge is remove duplicated information from VDUR in VNFR for vertical scaling. This is an arrangement in VNF record in MongoDB. There are some duplicated records and just need to be removed. The other one is NS-delete operation should raise error if the deletion operation is not completed successfully. First, the both challenges has difficulty is medium, let's say, and those are the problems need to be fixed in resource orchestration module. While doing those challenges, you will get some knowledge about how arrow works, how arrow components works, and how you can put the records in database and what's the structure in database, and also connection to OpenStack, how OSM interacts with the OpenStack. You will know about those topics. The first challenge, as we said briefly, it's about removing some duplicated records in VNFR. In VNFR, under VimInfo, there is a VNFR, in VNF record, there is a place called VimInfo, includes all the information of VM. This information comes from OpenStack, and in that section, the Vim details part includes some duplicated records. Vim details, Vim ID, Vim message, and Vim status added twice. Vertical scale operation does not update the Vim info. It adds another duplicated records under Vim info. So this is the problem. And we already indicated in the detailed description, we already indicated which methods are responsible from this problem. So after we fix this problem, you need to create a network service, you need to execute vertical scale operation, and you need to check the MongoDB database. We are explaining how you can connect to MongoDB, how you can see the VNF record. Those are all included in the detailed description. And you will check that there are only one Vim details, Vim ID, and Vim message, and Vim status. So this is the definition of done. The second challenge, NS-delete operation should raise an error. Normally, NS-delete operation is reported successfully. In any case, if we delete something, we normally should do an operation and we need to know if we delete it successfully or not. There are some situations that we couldn't connect to Vim, and some exceptions are already suppressed, and operation just returns a successful result. The real issue in here, we need to go to OpenStack Vim connector we need to find out all suppressed connection failures. We should raise connection failures, and if we cannot connect to OpenStack, this NS delete operation should fail. So we should know we couldn't reach them, we shouldn't return successful. So this is just about arranging the exceptions, catching the connection problems. So we will launch an NS instance. We will close the port in OSM machine, required ports to connect to Nova, and we will trigger NS delete operation, and operation should fail. Okay, those are the error changes. I will also upload the detailed descriptions to check later. Thank you. Now, Guillermo's turn.
Okay, so now we have another two challenges. I'm going to explain the number 7, but these challenges are a little bit more complicated because you can see that they are using more than one module, so you need to change more than one module. But also, I think that you can understand better how OSM works with these challenges because you are going to touch, let's say, the insights LCM module that is explains or is the one that takes care of all the operations in OSM. So in these challenges, we have challenge 7, that is remove execution environment charms when VNF has only day one operations. If you remember, when we deploy a network service instance, you can have, after the deployment, day one operations. Those are executed just after the deployment and are not executed anymore. And day two operations that can be executed when you want after the network function is instantiated. So the idea is that if you have only day one operations in your descriptor, OSM is going to instance some execution environments that will be consuming some resources. And after day one operations are executed, well, you are wasting the resources with that. So the idea is that you are able to delete those execution environments. Here we have more information about that. So we will have a network service that will have one VNF with day one operation and another VNF that will have day one and day two operations. The idea is that you will deploy the network function. At first, you will see that all the execution environments are there. And after you complete the challenge, you will see that the VNF that has only one day operations, the execution environment should be removed. But the one that has day two operations, the execution environment should be still be there. So that's the idea of the challenge. I have a document regarding this challenge. I have defined some milestones so we can go step by step. So I think that this can be difficulty high, let's say, but I think this is achievable. So, and I think next challenge is Pedro.
So the last challenge is challenge 8. It's about the vulnerability that Mark already talked about in the morning. And it is basically a vulnerability that we found on OSM, which allows an attacker with access to deploy VNFs to be able to execute remote code on the LCM module, which is not good. So this vulnerability happens because of two causes. The first cause of this vulnerability is that OSM is not properly verifying user input, in this case regarding the VNFD, the VNF descriptor. And then the other cause of this vulnerability is related to the N2VC library, where, as Mark also talked about in the morning, opens a shell to execute Elm and kubectl commands. And this opens a window for these attackers with these privileges to launch their commands. And in this case, it would be a better solution if we, for example, escape all characters that are passed to the VNFD. And this is more or less the gist of it, I think.